On this episode, we sit down with Liz Vaynerchuck Novello to hear how she went from Teacher of the Year to top producing real estate agent in New Jersey in just a few short years. You'll hear how her first year did not go according to plan at all, and what she did to turn the corner and have a thriving business.
The Massive Agent Podcast, with lead generation tips and strategies to get you more leads and sell more homes.
I love to buy houses. I like to sell houses.
It takes brass balls to sell real estate.
Wait a minute.
The leads are weak. You're weak.
I've had better.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
Here's your host, Dustin Brohm.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 125 of the Massive Agent Podcast. What a freaking awesome interview we have today with just such an amazing woman, such an amazing real estate agent, and a really fun conversation. So Liz Novello is an agent with Sotheby's in New Jersey. She's been an agent for just shy of 3 years now, and Liz is actually the younger sister of Gary Vaynerchuk. So she has a very interesting story of getting started in the real estate industry. And it's really cool to hear some of the stuff behind the scenes that was happening. You would think that, and she knows this, we talk about this in the interview, but you'd think that being the younger sister of Gary V and having access not just to him, but to Tom Ferry, for example, which you'll hear about, and others, that she right off the bat, right out of the gate, she would just kill it, sell 100 homes the first year and, off into the wind. But off into the sunset. That's the right one. Off into the sunset. But that's not what happened. She sold one home in her first year. But it's what she did to turn the corner and what she did to flip the switch to really thrive that is so interesting. And she tells that story of why she didn't do so well her first year, despite all the access that she has that pretty much no one else does, but how she's really niched down, found what works for her. It's a great story. So let's get into it here in just a sec. If you are new to the show, welcome. My name is Dustin Brohm, your host. I am a realtor in Salt Lake City, Utah with eXp Realty. I'm the co-founder of the Industry Syndicate, Real Estate's podcast network. I am a national speaker on all things real estate marketing and podcasting. And thank God, you guys have heard me in previous episodes say that I used to be a speaker when we had these things called events, but those events are coming back. I have some that are already getting booked for October and September, so that's super exciting. I'm going to be in Scottsdale in early October, and then there's a few more that I'll announce once they're solidified. So I'm excited to get back on the road, meet some of you guys, speak on some stages, travel. I love traveling. I also write a weekly column for Housing Wire, and I am founder of the One Agent Per Market lead gen program called the Massive Agent Society. You can check out the details over at massiveagentsociety.com. Before I get into the interview, I want to give a shout out to one of our society members, Wayne Bennett. He's in the Charlotte, Fort Mill, South Carolina area, suburbs. He got 450 leads in 3 weeks, average about 70 cents per lead. This is insane. He told me that on Mother's Day, he got 45 leads. He's like, this is insane. This is the best ever. And all he did was copy and paste an ad that we have in our database. And he followed the instructions. So Wayne, congratulations. I'm glad to hear that you're thriving. Those are not common results. They're not uncommon, but to that extent, they're not super common. But I don't know about you. If I could just get that half right, I'm totally stoked. So Wayne, congratulations. All right, guys, if you have not yet subscribed to the show, please do. Then you do not miss an episode. We come out with a new one every Thursday morning. But if you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Pocket Casts, or wherever you listen, you get a notification every time a new episode drops, and you'll never get behind. So please do that. It also is a way for you to help us out by showing the algorithms on these podcast platforms that the show is in demand. It helps us to be seen by more people, show up higher in the podcast search rankings, and grow a larger audience and attract bigger and better guests like our guest today, Liz Novello, the younger sister of Gary V. Super cool. Before we start the interview, she's done so much on her own. Okay, I've seen some. How do I even word this? I really wanted to celebrate her and what she has done because, as you will hear, just because you have access to information or access to people does not mean that you will be successful unless you take certain actions and you do certain things. She's going to tell that story and you're going to be like, wow, like, yes, you have full control over what happens in your business. Okay. Spoiler alert. You have full control and you're going to hear exactly what that looks like. Let's get into it with Liz Novello. What's up, guys? I'm here with Liz Novello. Welcome, Liz, to the Massive Agent Podcast. How you doing?
Very well. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. You have such an interesting story, and that story I want to be heard today because you're somebody who, because of your family, because of your older brother, you've had access to certain people and certain leaders within industries that most agents don't. And so you're a fairly new agent, I believe, right? So within the last couple of years or few years. Yeah. Before we get into that story, which is so interesting because, spoiler alert, on your own, you've really put in the work to be successful on your own, and that's what's being noticed, which is really cool. The story of how you got there and how you made that happen and how you're juggling being a full-time mom and homeschooling and all this craziness of today's world, and you're still being successful. That story is where the value's at. So I really want to focus the majority of our time on that. But Liz, before we jump into that, in like 60 seconds or so, how did you even get into the real estate industry? How did that even happen?
Sure. So I have always loved real estate. I think that it was always part of my childhood. My parents and my older brother immigrated from the former Soviet Union. They moved into an apartment in Queens with my great-grandparents and my grandma and my aunt and uncle. And I was born 6 months later. And my parents eventually moved to New Jersey, to Dover. And then my dad worked construction. So
Really?
He did that. And then he would paint apartment buildings at night. And then he became a stock boy at a liquor store in Clark, New Jersey. And within 5 years, he went from stock boy knowing zero of the language to managing, being partners of that liquor store.
Wow.
And then opening up his own business. So part of my life, my mom always used to take us to open houses.
Nice.
And she has always loved design and things like that. And she would get decorating ideas. And that's why when people come to open houses, I never get crazy. I know a lot of people a lot of agents hate the looky-loos, but that was our family. And my mom used to say, dream big. And I used to always find like the kids' room that they had set up as a model room. And I would dream about, living in that space. So I think construction has always been part of my life. My parents went on to build their store, the wine library. It's probably the most beautiful liquor store. I don't even know. I haven't even entered too many liquor stores in my lifetime, probably less than 5, but it's a massive building and super gorgeous. They built their dream house. It's something that I have a passion for myself with decorating and just what a home means. So I think, a lot of my childhood really prepared me and made me want to get into real estate.
So when did you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm going to get my license now. I'm actually going to become a real estate agent. Wasn't it around the time of Agent 2021 in 2019?
Yeah.
Right?
So it's so funny. So for many years, I was a stay-at-home mom for almost 7 years, or roughly 7 years. And I was a teacher prior, was staying home with my kids. And during that time, I would send listings to my mom. Like I would find homes and be like, what do you think? And then I would tell her what I would change about the house. Or if I go to my friend's house, I'm always thinking about they should knock that wall down. So I've always thought about it, but being a stay-home mom, having that privilege to stay home with my children, I felt really guilty for even thinking that I wanted to do something outside my home. But I just kept having this push of gosh, I would be the best agent because I love people. I love helping people. And I love the meaning of a home and design. So for years, I would say, I'm gonna. And then finally, my older brother takes me on one trip a year, international trip, and he sent a car for me. And I literally logged on to Milburn Professional Business School and signed up for real estate class. with nerves, but I knew that if I got on that plane and said, he was gonna punch me in my face. So I signed up for real estate school. I took the course, and 72 hours after I was licensed, I was at Agent 2021.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So that was January 2019. Awesome event. I was at that one, not the first one, but the 2019 one. Okay. So what
So
were
that was
your,
2018, right? I think that's 2018.
was it the one on the field or on the tennis courts?
On the field.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I was not at that one.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, that was 2018.
Yep.
Cool. Wow. So, I mean, perfect setting to, you get your license and you're like, okay, what do I do now? Now you're dropped in the middle of all these amazing thought leaders for the industry.
Yep.
Tell us about that journey. So you got your license. What, I'm kind of curious too, like what were you thinking
Yep.
the path would look like, and what did it actually look like for you? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, very different. I went to Agent 2021. I felt empowered that this stay-at-home mom was licensed and that I was a Vaynerchuk and I had that sales blood in me and I was going to crush it. And my first year was super humbling. I mean, when I tell you a humble pie like no other, I only sold one house that first year, period.
Okay.
I sold one home. And I thought I was going to like take down every agent, right? Like I was like, I'll show them. I didn't show anybody anything. I definitely was humbled. I did a lot of high-end rentals that year. You know, the one thing I did, my very first transaction was with an NFL football player for a rental. And I did
Really?
get that from my brother. And it was a Jets player. So it was,
Of course it was a Jets player. It wasn't a Patriots player.
exciting. So for me, but yeah, that first year I really realized, not only through a lot of self-reflection, but also, you know, at the time I had met Tom Ferry at the first Agent 2021. And I didn't even know that he was a big deal. Like I just would say Tom, and people would be like, are you talking about Tom Ferry? And so he called me a couple months in after we met and literally said, what are you doing? And I didn't know. I was like, well, I'm kind of, you know, dabbling, but not. And so, as my brother would say, like, you can't be half pregnant. I was half pregnant. I was a secret agent. I wasn't sharing because I was so afraid of failure, what people would think. I wasn't ready to be exposed to my friends because I had stayed home. A lot of my mom friends were stay-at-home moms. Not all of them were super supportive, you know, of the idea, or maybe it made them question their own life. But I was really nervous. And like the day that Tom Ferry called me, I realized like, I better get it together because if I want to be successful, I have to go all in.
Yes. And so you weren't your first year.
I wasn't. And in fact, I was with a different brokerage that I am with now. And I realized, you know what? It's time to change everything. It's time to be with people that I really could grow from. People that were doing, you know, things that I wanted to do. And so I had started with a new brokerage the start of my second year. And I'm still with the Gosling Group and with Sotheby's, actually diagonal from my dad's store on Milburn Avenue. So I could literally wave to Wine Library every morning that I go there. So yeah, back to like what I consider my old stomping grounds, because my dad's store was always such an anchor of my childhood. We would go there just to see my dad. He used to work pretty much every day until I turned 10. So our mom would bring us there.
That's cool. So what did you change when you said that you went all in? You know, you changed brokerages, you made a decision, you know, most importantly, what did you do different? You know, what did going all in look like for you?
Yeah, I think it was just being true and authentic to my life. So like sharing with people that I'm an agent and like, regardless of being scared or not, pushing myself. it was head down and doing what Tom Ferry preaches. It's, head down and learning the actual grind of the business, learning. For me, it was all about mastering, and still today, I think there's always an aspect of this business that is new and changing and evolving, and just learning the basics.
Right.
Because I know that I have something different, but I knew that I needed to learn the basics.
Absolutely. Did you find that once you started to learn the basics that it boosted your confidence, which helped you do everything else better, or did it look different?
Yeah, this, like your first sale makes you a little more confident.
Mm-hmm.
The next deal makes you a little bit stronger. The following deal feels much better,
Totally.
And now starting, year 3, like this past week, I did more deals than my first year, and we're in a pandemic. So,
Right.
I think just really teaming up with the right people, and really learning the business was key. So it's just exposing myself, which is not easy.
Right.
But being okay with whatever that looked like.
What are some of those basics, the things that you really focused on? What are some of those things?
So Tom told me in that conversation when he called me as I was driving to pick up my daughter from preschool, and I pulled over, he said, Liz, you have to call every expired listing. I was like, I don't like calling.
Yep, I'm with you.
And asking them for things, because in my family, like, you rather die than ask for anything. Like, do not ask anybody for one thing. Figure it out, right? So I said, I don't like asking people. I feel like I need to prove myself, is what I said. And he said, Liz, you're not proving yourself. Call them. Don't ask them for one thing. Just understand why the expired listing occurred. Why did their sale not happen? And you will find out that it's basically the same thing. As I know now, it's always down to price, communication, things like that. So I think it made me have my guard down, because I didn't feel like I was asking them for their business. I was just inquiring.
Right. I really like that approach, actually. I mean, so many people, they're like, you've got to call expireds and you got to convert them and get the listing and, blah, 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 get in the door. Well, then you are like, literally, it's an adversarial conversation, usually, because you have to convince them of something.
Sure.
And, there's people on YouTube with their headsets in reading scripts that do that all day long. And that's not me. Obviously, that's not you. But you just called and said, hey, what's going on? Why didn't this sell? And so that helped you understand the overall market and the workings of the industry. So I imagine that built some confidence.
Definitely. And also just realizing I really am able to engage in conversation very easily with people.
Mm-hmm.
I do care. I do think that, there's a reason why people list their house. It's sad when their home doesn't sell, because there's a reason. They wanted to sell it because A, they had a downsize. B, they wanted to live closer to their kids and grandkids. So just having conversation and being caring really is how I think of it now, instead of like, let me just get your listing.
Right.
Right. And I think there's a lot of great agents making those calls using those scripts. My script just looks different. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a scripted person by all means, but, listening to Tom Ferry, I really think he has some great things that he puts out there that are useful and that makes sense to me. And so using those scripts in the way I understand and internalize them.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about you. You just picked your kids up. You just left the carpool line. You're like, hold on, kids. I got to talk to Tom Ferry for a minute, and we'll get back to. That's just not normal for most agents, but that's awesome. What else? Like, what other things helped you in the first part of your career? Your relationship with Tom Ferry, obviously, just being able to hear from your brother and marketing. Yes. Basics, marketing techniques and everything. Like what else helped you that maybe gave you I don't want to say unfair advantage, because that's stupid, but more of a head start. Like it just helped you jumpstart and jump to success quicker.
The biggest jump start was when I was doing a video of a home, touring a home. And my mom used to watch this show, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And this guy with an accent would walk around. His name is slipping my mind, but he would walk around and
Robin Leach.
Yes, Robin Leach. And he would showcase these homes. And so I love that. I used to watch MTV Cribs and want to see what's in the fridge, or like their big line was like, this is where all the magic happens. So I was showcasing where all the magic happens, where these homes are. And I sent it to my brother, and I sent it to my brother Gary and said, what do you think of my video? And I was at an open house, so I did the video, and people were coming in, and I just kept hearing my phone go bling, 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 bling. I went from 500 followers, if 500, to 15,000 in 2 hours.
On Instagram?
On Instagram.
Wow. But was that when he's like, hey, my sister's in the business? I think I remember that.
And by the way, I had no idea. And I used Wait to like travel home. I didn't even know how to get home because I didn't know how to even turn off my notifications. I randomly maybe posted 5 things on Instagram. So I was like, what is happening? And I didn't even realize like all these people were now following me. So he said to me, you better answer all of them and thank them in the comments. Or if they're DMing you, you better, respond. And he said, here you go. You better do this every single day. You better put out content. And I was like, and from that day in August, I have never not put out content. Now I don't put out enough content, but there is not one day that I've ever missed. I had the flu in February, not this crazy stuff, but flu A. And I was literally shaking and sweating and still posting. My mother-in-law had passed and we were driving. We couldn't get a flight and we drove 7 hours to North Carolina. I was posting rain, shine, happy, sad. I am posting every single day. I am commenting every single day. I am responding to DMs every single day. So that has been a big part, the big push, and the biggest part probably that's really changed my business this year, and where I'm actually seeing something that I worked on every single day for, all these years and now coming into fruition. So I think a lot of people are always looking for that quick turnaround, that quick deal. But I'm finally seeing that my Instagram community is pulling through for me. My hard work is paying off on that. So that's the biggest part.
So is Instagram your platform of choice, your go-to?
Yeah. It's so interesting, and I know I have to diversify, but it's the place where I feel the most comfortable. I love the community that I've built. The reason I didn't do Facebook originally, and it started with being a secret agent, is because my Facebook originally was, my kids' pictures and me and my close family and friends.
Right.
And I wasn't ready to expose myself. So I didn't do much on there because I wasn't ready to showcase it. And now that I've built such a community on Instagram, it's kind of hard because I'm like, I love watching, like even yesterday for Mother's Day, commenting on many mom friends through Instagram that I've made, like really having that connection. So it's been really fun. And I know I have to diversify. I mean, my brother says it all the time. He's like, you should be posting 3 to 5 times. I'm like, But honestly, for me, I say that motherhood is my full-time job. Being an agent is my full-time job, and social media. It really feels that I give 150% to those 3 areas and are full-time jobs for me.
Absolutely. I don't think he's wrong. Like I don't think I post nearly enough either, but you also have to balance that with what's realistic for your life and your your priorities, like you said. Ideally, yes, you get there, but it's not realistic for most people. So you just do the best you can, and the consistency, like you mentioned, you just do it every single day. That's where the magic happens, is just consistently being in front of your audience.
I think, the other thing for me that's really worked out is that my stuff is not fancy. I'm not putting out content that looks like anybody's done it, because nobody's done it. It's my face. It's my arm holding. I don't even have a camera light or one of those things on it. So
right.
It's me posting. It's me sharing my journey, my story. I don't have any fancy material out there. It's all been me. I haven't even tapped into that kind of stuff yet. It's definitely something that I want to do and a goal of mine. But I'm more of the mindset, like slow and steady has really worked for me. Because I want to still feel happy and passionate about it. And I don't want it to feel like a job. And so I'm just doing everything that means something to me. So when you're looking at my poster, it is like what I'm feeling that day or what I've experienced. And sometimes not even what I'm feeling that day, that week, because I need a day to kind of consume and understand my own thoughts on, I just had the craziest deal, and I'll have to share that story next week when things slow down. But it was like a really interesting transaction that I've had. But it's all stories I want to share with people because they're all real.
Right. There's some great lessons in that. One of them is you don't worry about it being perfect as far as your production quality. Like, you don't have a ring light, you don't over edit and, put the text on the top, text on the bottom with the progress bar and all that. That stuff's cool. I do that from time to time, but I almost feel like, well, not almost, I do feel like the raw stuff, which is you talking to your camera, is the most effective, because people can make a connection with you that they can't if it's super over edited. Yeah.
I think that it's all I know right now, and it's working for me. So I'm not going to change it.
I love that. Yeah. You just do it and it's working.
Yeah.
Awesome. When did your success or the business start to really snowball in a positive direction? When did you really start to gain traction, and when did you notice you were getting traction?
So I would say that last year was the start. So my second year, the start was really great. Right away, 2 friends trusted me. You talk about a big source of business is your sphere. And I had 2 friends that reached out to me. And I remember saying, I said to my friend, why did you pick me? You know that I was so early on in the game. Like, you could have picked anybody. And they're like, because of your heart. So it was very interesting, that I was given that opportunity. I'm so grateful to them. Like I always tell them, but I'm super grateful for every client of mine, because I really feel like they're giving me a big opportunity. Selling or buying a home is possibly and probably most people's biggest investment.
Absolutely.
And they're trusting me to make it work. Now, did it feel amazing that my friend's house sold in less than 5 days with like 5 offers or some crazy, was that amazing? Definitely. And I think where I find myself successful is that this year I feel confident. Like, when I'm talking, I knew what I was talking about last year. I didn't have enough strength to be like, listen to me. But now I'm like so firm with when I really believe in something and I know it's going to work for my client. I'm like, I'm willing to do your way. And it's always about price, right? I'm willing to do your way for 10 days. But if this doesn't work, we're going to have to try my way, because I know it'll work. So building that confidence really has literally, probably more than ever, has come to me in the last month or 2, where I'm like, no, I know what I'm doing. Please trust me. And when they do, it's like, I listed a house in Bernardsville during this pandemic. An hour after I listed it, we held on to it. I was supposed to go live the week when New Jersey really started feeling it. My husband works in the city, and their office closed for 3 days. And I said, oh, New Jersey's next. So I called my clients. I'm selling their mom's estate And I said, listen, they're in Massachusetts. I'm like, I know you probably feel it because I've been noticing your numbers, with this virus happening. I want to hold off to see what happens. And they said, okay. And then I realized 3 weeks later, and I communicated with them through the whole time. I said, New Jersey's kind of shut down. But 3 weeks later, what I noticed was any house that would go on the market was scooped up like fairly quickly. And within my own team, there was multiple offers. So I called them back up and I said, it's time. And we listed it. An hour later, we had a showing. Within 3 days, we had multiple offers. And we're closing at the end of this month.
That's awesome.
So I think just trusting and really showing them that I actually believe in myself, because I always knew, like even last year, but I think the true success is, gosh, I really know it. I know it. And just allowing myself to be true and to be okay with, putting my foot down a little bit,
Right.
And in the right way.
Exactly. And you're right. It takes confidence and it takes, practice to get there. I mean, for me, so I started in 2011 and I was not the same person that I am today by any stretch. It took me 4 or 5 years to really get any kind of confidence at all. I mean, wow. And everyone has their own timeline for that. We all start, some of us start right next to the goal line. Some of us start right next to the other goal line, 99 yards away. And, we all just have different experiences, different mindsets and everything. So you've got to just run your own race. And people hate that, especially when they're struggling and they're like, well, I need to sell some homes. I need to grow. Don't tell me to be patient.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that I need to run my own race because damn it, I just want to get there.
We've all been there.
Totally. Yep, I have.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely not patient. Definitely not patient. Something crazy. I mean, my brother always preaches patience, and it would like drive me crazy because I'm like, you naturally DNA are patient. I naturally DNA am not patient.
Yeah.
So that used to drive me crazy. But I think part of the success has actually been the patience, the patience that this will come. Just knowing, when you are raised with two brothers, everything for me is like sports related or, like I just needed the reps. Every time I have a deal or anything that I talk about, or even the failures, the conversations I have with my brothers and my little brother, whom I really respect as well, is he's like, it's the reps. These are your reps. And so that's how I'm going. And I think that it is your own race. I find that when you're desperate, people feel it. When you're
absolutely.
When you're desperate for a sale, I think not only do people feel it, but like it's just so not authentic that like the deal doesn't even feel good. That first year I was taking out not even qualified buyers. Do you understand? I wouldn't even. Now when I had a conversation and they didn't want to get pre-qualified, I'm like, listen, this is what you have to do. Otherwise I'm not taking you out. Like I might not have that client, but I'm not going to waste my time because they're like, oh, I have money and they're la, la, la. Nope. I need to see the paper. I need to see that you're qualified. I'm in position now where my time is actually valuable.
Absolutely. And going through the reps, building that confidence is what got you there. Absolutely. I think all of us at a certain stage in our career have done similar things where we needed a deal, we needed business, so we'd bend a little bit and we'd go maybe show homes to someone who wasn't pre-qualified yet, or, whatever. Or maybe like, oh, they're going to be such a pain in the ass, but I need the deal.
Yep.
And, we learned pretty quickly why you shouldn't do those things.
Correct.
But I have to learn the hard way, Liz. Like that's how I learned. So in hindsight, I'm glad I did learn that because now I know what it feels like to have a nightmare client that I had a feeling when we first started that she was going to be that way. And sure enough. And so now I'm just like, I don't want to go down that road again. I know what that looks like. It's going through the reps.
And not only that, then that was okay. But now your time is much more valuable. Mm-hmm. So it's not okay.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Then I didn't mind because, I got to see homes. I got to learn the inventory. I was hoping and praying that maybe it would come through, and it didn't. But I at least learned something through that.
All right. So Liz, what are some of the things that you did aside from videos and, posting on Instagram to market yourself and your business to really start to get that traction so that your sphere of influence knew you were an agent? What are some of the specific tactics that you've used,
Sure.
To really grow and to get clients?
So honestly, like my brother knows this. I'm super frugal. Like I didn't want to spend any money, at all. And I think in the beginning, there's so many expenses that you have to pay, right?
Oh, it's insane.
And so I didn't want to lose money. I knew that. So everything that I did were things that I could do without spending money. And when I say little things, like, yes, running ads on Facebook or Instagram. I haven't actually run any ads on Instagram, but our Facebook ads aren't things that are going to push me over the edge. So I didn't buy like my signs or anything. I used our team signs, things like that, because I wasn't willing to pay the hundreds of dollars. But essentially, like, it was so interesting. What I did was really just put out content on Instagram. I spoke to people that are my friends and family. That doesn't cost anything. Texting, I mean, I have a package, so I don't even know. I text all the time. Those kind of things. Our team uses, they're part of curator system. And so they're marketing our new listings, things like that. But just converting anybody that came through those leads, calling them, emailing them. But really the conversion for me and not spending a lot of money has been all through social and all through conversation and all through meeting people, getting connected from friends and family and building relationships. That's it.
Do you get a lot of referrals?
Yeah, now I'm starting to, well, believe it or not, am I getting a lot of referrals? I'm starting to. This year I'm starting to. So, being out there, showcasing. I don't know, most people don't necessarily want to move to Jersey, even though it's really beautiful and a lot of people are not sure, but Jersey has awesome spots. But I actually do referrals often because, I'm in a position where, my brothers have this sports agency. So this year I put out a post as their sports agency continues to grow. I want to make sure that I maintain a relationship and make sure that our players for Vayner Sports, are treated really well. And as I would expect for everybody, funny enough, I have a middle school friend who reached out to me and said, "Hey, Liz, I really love watching your passion for real estate. I want to buy a house." My middle school friend, it's like, wow, like that's amazing, And so I've been doing a lot of referrals this year, actually.
I love that. Well, and I imagine that will happen more and more because of your audience on Instagram and your consistent content that you put out there. People now know you as a realtor in New Jersey. And so if they're in Phoenix or they're in Salt Lake City, they remember you first because you're in their newsfeed all the time. But that is why content is so important. It's not just done at a local level. And Liz, I want to hear how you've approached this, because I think most agents, when they start their careers especially, they think other agents are competitors and they try to avoid connecting with them, or they don't associate with them. They don't network with them. I did. I was like, I'm not going to connect with them. They're a competitor, right?
Yep.
My business absolutely took off when I started collaborating with other agents, even local ones.
Yes.
So many different reasons. And I've done multiple episodes about why you should be doing that with everybody. How did you settle into that? Like, where do you come down on that?
You're making me smile from ear to ear because it is something that I really have tapped into just recently, this year specifically. So I thought they're my competitor. I'm not going to tag team with any of these agents. I want the business. I don't want them to have the business. But what I've realized is, agents, we know this. It takes two to make a deal go through.
Right.
It's so much nicer when you're working with somebody that is, first of all, works hard and knows the business, right? And then also, and competent. And then it's also just a better transaction. Like, it's nice to have communication with the other agent for me. Just like, I like being able to pick up the phone. So I've really approached it very differently in recently. I too thought why would I highlight or spotlight other people or really get connected to them? And now I realize gosh, nothing is worse than dealing with an agent that really doesn't have it together and isn't pleasant. And so I remember when I was making those calls that Tom Ferry was talking about, not only was I getting it from people who actually picked up the phone, which was not that often, but even when I made appointments with other agents to see their listing with my client, I was always surprised by how some agents are so rude.
Oh,
it's
the egos, the egos and just the
crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Crazy. Even the other day, somebody watched something of mine and said, "Hey, I want to, I would love to team up and share with you about, how we help agents with their taxes." And I wrote something. I hope you and your family are well and healthy during this pandemic. I'm super happy with who I have right now, but if that forever anytime changes, I'll reach out. And they were just taken back by what I think they think is a kind response, because I think people A, don't even respond, or B, are snappy. I mean, I've made the mistake of not reading my fault. I read the MLS wrong. I didn't know you wanted to be texted, or now I'm really great, but day 7 and day 17 and day 27 and day 47, maybe I misread it. I didn't know that calling you would tear you apart.
Yeah.
People don't like time to be wasted, but fine. But you don't have to be rude. I just approach all of that very differently. There's agents that I respect in this industry. There's an agent in my town of Basking Ridge. I respect her. She's been in it for a long time. And I see what she does, and I think she's super kind. Her and I have a very nice relationship through text message because she has a ton of listings here. And I just want to work with people that are kind and awesome and competent.
Absolutely. And being connected on social media with local competitors, it really helps because of familiarity.
Yep.
If I'm a listing agent and I get 10 offers, but I know a couple of the the buyer's agents who submitted them, and I know because we're connected that they're competent. I know that kind of their personality, and they seem like good people, and that when they say that their buyer is a certain, they're this, they're that, I believe them. I can't help but take more weight or put more weight on that than just some random offer that's emailed. And by the way, don't you love it when they just email an offer and you have no communication with them at all?
Yeah.
Unbelievable, the laziness. But when you know someone, even if it's just a social media connection, that's powerful. And I know that I've helped win I've helped win bidding wars because they trusted what I was saying more than some of these other unknowns.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with you. I couldn't agree more. They're not my, arch rivalry. I can't even say the word today. But honestly, it's a tag team. It's just a lot of pieces. Attorneys that don't work well. I also love working with attorneys that I trust, because I love picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, we need to get on this. This is taking too long. Can you help me out? Blah, blah, blah." Having that, or having even lenders that are going to come through during this pandemic. These large banks are not being able to close. And I have people that want to move out of the city in 30 days. I have a lender that can make it happen. So tag teaming with people that can make the deal go through is key. And especially if they're pleasant and kind, it's always nice to do business with those kind of people.
Absolutely. And it makes the business more fun. It really does. When you have a friendly relationship with agents in your market and outside of it, it just makes it more fun, more enjoyable, because then you get socializing and you get friendships out of the business you're already doing. It sucks when I see people separate the two.
I just did a deal at the start of this pandemic. My clients were moving from Florida. The husband, we met on Instagram. They came in October. I showed them 2 towns. They had an idea of 1 town because their friends said it was amazing. I showed them areas. Then her husband came back in February, and we had 2 days to find a house.
Oh, wow.
And they put an offer in on 1 house, and it, like, really quickly, we just knew that as an agent, I knew, and as the buyer, they sensed that this deal wasn't feeling right. And so they wanted to go with the other house. And so I called the other agent and I said, listen, my clients are about to pull out of a deal. I'm going to be straight to the face. What's the number? Would your people even consider this number? What do we have to do to get this closed? My people are moving in 30 days. And that agent was like, oh my God, Liz, thank you so much. Like, I don't even want to waste anybody's time. Like, is this something your people are even considering? Like, would this even be a number that they would consider? Could we get it done? And then from there, we kind of negotiate a little bit back and forth. Then we write up the contract. And then I'm like, I need you to promise that we're going to be out of attorney review in 48 hours. She has an attorney that she trusts. I had an attorney that I trusted. And we got it done for these people. There was no dilly-dallying. And she said, I just really respect and appreciate your candidness. And also just like, let's just get this done if we can. No playing around. I think like where agents might get concerned and where maybe I thought it's like when we're negotiating, if we're friends, we don't want them to think we're weak or like we really want to be aggressive, blah, blah, blah. But you really just get deals done. At the end of the day, it's like everybody has a number. Like, let's just figure this out.
Right. And you can do it in a collaborative way that's not adversarial.
I agree.
That whole negotiating term, it's funny when I hear people think that it's a battle.
Yeah.
Because honestly, like it can be. It absolutely can be. Yeah. But I have found now Salt Lake City, people are different than East Coast, the city. I get it. But I found that by collaborating like that, now both sides of the deal want to make it work. It becomes a team effort as opposed to this battle. And guess what? You're more productive. You're like, well, you know what? My clients need this, but I guess that makes sense. Let me see if we can do that. And
you negotiate different. Like there's always like bottom lines and you're not giving away your cards. And like, I like negotiating, but at the end of the day, I don't want to negotiate where there's going to be 0 deals. Like my people want this house or your people want this house. How are we going to figure this out? Let's get to the common denominator and figure this out.
Fantastic. That is fantastic advice. So if you are listening and if you think of it as a battle when you go into negotiate with other agents or make an offer on a property, try flipping it to a collaborative approach where you're just, that they want to sell the house. Your clients want to buy it. Figure it out. Simple as that.
I think so.
Yeah. Liz, real quick, because I want to make sure that we have time for the rapid fire questions at the end, which are just some either or questions. But before that, what's next for you? So what are you planning on doing? What does your business look like next year, the year after, whatever? What are you building towards? I want to get at your ambitions here. Like what are you trying to build, Liz?
It's so funny. My North Star has always been in this whole career for me has always been happiness. The minute this doesn't feel happy for me, I'm out and I'm going to do something that makes me happy. Like I'm really passionate about that. When I was a teacher, I loved it. I was teacher of the year, my second year of teaching. I still am in touch with these families during this pandemic, checking in. It always felt good. And then I became a mom, being stay-at-home moms, creating a house, like making meals, volunteering felt good until it didn't feel good, until I didn't want to empty the dishwasher anymore, until my brain wanted to do something else, until I needed other areas to feel fulfilled. And so I'm going to do this until it doesn't make me happy. Where do I want to go? Like, listen, I'm not confused. It takes a long time to build a business and a successful business. Yes, I'm more successful than I was last year and the year before, but I'm not at that success yet. I don't know when I'll get there, wherever I think it is. It's not even a number. but I
Right.
know the feeling, right?
Right.
I just want to be more successful. What that looks like to me is I want to be happy next year. I want to help more clients. I want to list more homes. I want to help buyers. I enjoy both listing and selling very differently, helping buyers very differently. I've loved helping first-time homeowners. Loved it. Loved helping. I've been working with downsizers. That's been really interesting and fun, and I have a great perspective, because I helped my aunt and uncle downsize. That was amazing. What it looks like for me, what I want to build, I just want to be happy. Wherever that is, I want to be. I want to continue doing Instagram and having women reach out to me and say, thank you so much. Like, I'm a stay-at-home mom. That feels so good to me. That feels amazing. Like, sometimes I read back, like, I'm like, what? Like, I can't believe that I'm inspiring people. That feels crazy to me.
Yep.
Like, I'm just a mom. I'm just like a 40-year-old New Jersey woman. It's pretty crazy to me. So I like that feeling. So whatever that is, I want to continue doing. That's
More of that.
More of that.
That's cool. Do you see yourself building a team and being a team leader? Do you see yourself starting your own brokerage or?
I think everybody was like, oh, you're going to have Vayner brokerage, and the problem is I probably would, but I don't think my brothers are on board. But I don't want that responsibility right now. I'm a mom first and foremost. That I want to raise my kids. My son is 10, my daughter's 6. I still have quite a ways to go before I feel like they're going to be super independent. Where I think something new for me is really embracing that I'm a mom that likes to work. That, I've always kind of shied away from that because I don't want people to think I don't love being a mom. I think there's, such an interesting perspective and thought for women who love to actually work. I love working. I could work when I work 14-hour days. I'm like so driven. So I want to make it okay for women to understand that just because you love to work and love what you do, that doesn't make you a bad mom. It makes you a great mom, because honestly, a happy mom equals happy kids.
And they're watching you. They're seeing you work hard. They're seeing the happiness that comes from working hard. They're watching all of that and soaking it in. So I could not agree more. Like, I think as long as you enjoy doing it, that is a great way of being a great mom, is leading by example and showing them, hey, I juggle all this stuff. I juggle this craziness and I'm still able to be successful and I love it. I think that's great. That is leading by example.
I really believe in that, and I'm okay. I'm trying to embrace that more because I do have mom guilt, and I'm realizing more and more my kids are seeing. My son wrote like the sweetest poem to me yesterday, and I cried because his first line was like, "Mom, you are the shining star of our family." Like that and you make me feel safe and at home every time I'm with you. That's it. Like, that's the way I felt about my stay-at-home mom, and I always question. Just to have that validation was really huge. Your question on team, I don't look to create a team. I don't see that in my vision. I'm very happy being part of my team. I think a lot of people quickly think that that having all your commission feels more exciting, but I like being part of a team. I like leaning on people if I need to, right now, right here in this game. So I don't see that anytime soon, if at all.
Totally get it. Yeah. It's far too many people focus on the cost of doing a transaction and not on the value that maybe you're giving up some of your commission for. And maybe that's the team, and maybe that's, resources or tools, whatever it looks like. There's a million different business models. But that's the important thing, is look at it as value, not just the cost of doing a deal. If that's all you care about, you can go find a brokerage that'll, $195 per deal. Like, okay. Doesn't mean that you're going to get what you want.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Love it. Cool. Do you have time for the rapid fire questions?
Do it.
Awesome. Let's do it. So just pick either or. You don't need to elaborate unless you want to.
Oh,
okay.
My goodness. Let's go.
Awesome. Facebook or Instagram?
Instagram.
Instagram or LinkedIn?
Instagram.
Instagram or TikTok?
Oh, Instagram. I'm not a dancer, but I'm going to showcase homes. I can't wait to get back into homes. I haven't been inside a home. I sold a home and didn't even step foot in it. That was like really interesting. And, but I'm going to get down on that TikTok really soon when I can. I'm going to
Love it.
showcase. I'm going to just do, I think a lot of people are confused. TikTok, you don't have to dance, but you
Right.
have to put out content. So
Right.
I'm just going to showcase homes. I did one and I love the way it looks. So I can't wait to get back on that.
That's cool. And congratulations. You've been thriving in this lockdown, in this crazy COVID-19 world where you can't even go show homes, but yet you're still selling them. So congratulations on
Thank you.
making it happen.
Thank you.
Podcasting or audiobooks?
Podcasting.
Podcasting or physical books?
Podcasting.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone all the way.
Good call. Alexa or Google Home?
Oh, both. Totally
Yeah.
fine with. Yeah.
Burgers or pizza?
Pizza.
New York or LA?
New York.
NFL or NBA?
NFL. Let's go Jets.
Yes. College or pro?
Pro.
Football or baseball?
Football.
Mountains or
Baseball,
beach?
Ugh.
Yeah,
used to
I know.
Listen, I go to baseball games. I can't even go to them because our seats are close. And I swear I'm ducking all the time. Like, is the ball coming? I don't like that. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I was also the worst softball player. I have no hand-eye coordination, so I stink at softball and tennis. But I want to pick up tennis. So I don't know. Maybe my game will get stronger.
Tennis is fun.
Yeah.
It really is. Like, I didn't even start playing tennis till college, and man, I played every freaking night. It's been a while, very out of shape, but tennis it's just a fun game.
I don't want to do the running, but if somebody could bounce the ball so I could just hit it, that's what I want.
Like, would you hit it to me, please, so I don't have to move?
That's it.
Mountains or beach?
Beach.
Let's see, podcasting or vlogging?
Vlogging.
YouTube or Facebook Live?
Facebook Live or YouTube. I'm going YouTube. I'm going to start doing YouTube. Like, I'm collecting all my stuff. I'm about to get on.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, YouTube's one of those places that I've ignored because of bandwidth,
Yeah.
or at least that's the excuse I give myself.
Yeah.
It's just too big of an opportunity. Way
Guess
too big.
what? That's where, and by the way, that's where I'm going to pay for people to edit. And I just collect it. I want to drop it off. I want to pay somebody and I want them to do it. But I'm particular and I'll figure it out. But that's my next move. 100.
Love it. I love that. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to see your YouTube videos. Uber or Lyft?
Uber.
Now, I ask this of every other, I'm going to ask it anyways just because it's funny. I ask this of every other guest.
Okay.
Gary V or Grant Cardone?
Oh my God. Gary V all the way.
That's pretty much the response that I get from everybody. So
Yeah.
that's a safe answer.
Not even a choice.
It's not even a choice. Not even a choice. What's the most impactful book that you've ever read or listened to?
I think it was, I'm so bad at like titles. Crushing It. Crushing It really, the book that I actually read on that flight to Germany with my brother where I signed up for real estate school. And he was editing Crushing It. And I got to read it before it was released. And I thought, these people are listening to my brother and are successful. And I'm his sister with the same DNA and same blood. And you're telling me that I'm not following his rules? So Crushing It. And then I love like Tuesdays with Maury, like all about life and just like get it together, people. Life is so beautiful. That kind of stuff, you know?
It really is. Get it together, people.
Or The Greatest Salesman, stuff like deep impacted things like that.
Love it. And then give us an app recommendation. Which app are you using a lot of or that you're obsessed with right now?
Oh, man. Let's see. I got to look at what I'm actually using. I mean, the apps that I have are like Slack I use every day, right? Like that's not even.
I heard a Slack notification come in earlier. Yeah.
And now my kids are coming in. I guess Slack would be like notes, things like that. My like flashlight when I'm
practical. Yeah.
Practical stuff, nothing crazy. I mean, my kids, like if I showed you a rainbow ice cream app and ice cream ink and Candy Crush for my kids, they take over my phone and then I get notifications. I'm like, get this off. Yeah, mine are all practical stuff.
Awesome. Well, Liz, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story. It's cool to see what you've built for yourself. And, access to information is only one thing. It's important, of course, but now you have to do something with it. You have to take action and put the stuff that you just learned into practice, and you have. And so it's really cool to watch your journey. I'm really excited to see what you do over the next couple of years. It looks like you're really having fun, and I really appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So much. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And where can people find you and follow you and stay up to date on what you're up to?
So you can find me on Instagram, Liz Novello, LizNovello. Man, I'm like, my kids are walking in this room. I used to think Vaynerchuk was like a name very easily butchered, but then I became Novello and people call me Novella. And I'm like, it's an O at the end.
Oh
so
my God.
Novello. Facebook, same place. LinkedIn, same place. All same name.
Awesome. Liz, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
You bet.
Take care.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, if you found it valuable in any way, shape, or form, please, for the love of God, do us a favor, being that this is a free podcast. We don't charge you to listen. I mean, who the hell does that anyways? But we don't. And I'm a marketer, so I'm going to spin it as, hey, we're doing you, Mr. Listener or Mrs. Listener, we're doing you a favor by giving you a free podcast. So now that I've guilted you, please share this. If you found value in it, share this with a friend, a colleague, a team member, team leader, your broker, your office, a Facebook group that's for other agents. Whatever it is, please help us to share it. And that is all we ask. So help us share the good word. If you found it to be a good word or the good word, whatever, we appreciate it. So thank you guys. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it so much. We'll see you back here next week for another episode of the Massive Agent Podcast. Take care.